Immigration discusses the fabled second home visa. Will it be something for you? And responding to one police scandal after the next, the president calls in top police officials. Will a police purge be in the works? Stay tuned for details. Selamat siang. Welcome to another issue of the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is October 17th, 2022, and my name is Bruce. The weather is cloudy, hot, and humid with a temperature of 30.5 degrees Celsius, humidity of 78%, and wind speed of 19.5 kilometers per hour. Not the best of days. It looks like it is definitely going to be raining today in Singaraja. No numbers today. My usual source is still not posting numbers, and well, my eyesight is getting worse, and so I've cut down on my time online. Apologies for not responding to everybody's comments, but I'm having a real hard time reading text on the screen these days, and so I've cut down as much as possible on all the activities on the computer. This will be the last video that I'll be posting along with cooking videos until after my cataract surgery, and I'm going to be starting that this afternoon. I have an appointment with the doctor at 5 o'clock to get a referral, and so the Indonesian National Health Insurance, I'm going to be trying that out, and I will be doing a video on that after all of this is done, for those of you that may have it and have never used it, like me, because, well, there's been a lot of talk about that. Some foreigners think it's great, they've had no problems, others think it's terrible. Indonesians also divided about how the system works, and so I'm going to find out. If you haven't subscribed to this channel or my wife's cooking channel, please consider doing so, because then you'll be notified when we are back online, which I hope to be in another week or so. But first things first, I need to get my vision so I can actually see something. So let's get started. Indonesia to issue second home visa for billionaires, investors. Billionaires, yes, that's right. The Indonesian Immigration Acting Director General had an event this past week, and he announced that his office, state ministries, and other related state agencies will soon launch a program called the Second Home Visa, aimed at attracting international investors and billionaires. Yes, that is the word that they use, billionaires, and it's not Indonesian billionaires. This is dollar billionaires, euro billionaires. The acting director general said the special visa will be given to billionaires, the world's wealthy people, and investors to encourage the growth of investment in Indonesia and those who intend to stay longer in Indonesia. He believes that this policy is in line with the directives of President Jokowi to facilitate foreign investments in Indonesia. The second home visa itself will also be a tool for global talent, the Indonesian diaspora, and foreign elderly tourists, which will facilitate them to stay in Indonesia for a period of 5 to 10 years. The second home visa is still in the finalization stage, he said. Hopefully in the near future, or maybe in the next few weeks, this program will become a regulation that will be enacted. Now, this could be jam karet. This visa has been talked about for a long time, since last year. Details, none out here. He's just saying, look, we're working on it, and it's going to be around maybe soon, maybe in the near future, maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a few months. Who knows? Okay, so investors and billionaires. But then he did bring in global talent, and I'm thinking when he says global talent, he's talking about maybe digital nomads, I don't know. The Indonesian diaspora, that has been an issue as well, and foreign elderly tourists. So this is supposed to replace the retirement visa, and so we'll have to see how this works out. But as I said, there are no details, so we're just going to have to wait and find out. And Jokowi reads Police the Riot Act. As hundreds of regional police chiefs and high-ranking officers from across the archipelago convened at the presidential palace this past Friday, reports emerged that a wealthy cop set to take over the reins in East Java had instead been detained in an investigation, a further blow to the law enforcement institution's crumbling public image. Just hours before the assembly, lawmakers revealed to the press that the incoming East Java police chief had been detained on charges relating to a drug case. National Police Chief General Listo Sigit Prabowo confirmed the arrest later that day after the police corps was berated by Jokowi in private and forced to take ownership of its missteps in recent weeks, starting with the botched murder plot instigated by senior police officer Ferdi Sambo, the firing of the tear gas at the soccer match that led to the deadly stampede in Malang, as well as reports of lavish lifestyles that many officers enjoy on the public payroll. So the president is not happy. Now, you remember a few weeks ago, the president was not happy with immigration. It was get your act together and change things, and now he's telling the police the same thing. Listo said that the planned East Java police chief was placed in custody and awaits further investigation into a drug trafficking case in Bukit Tinggi, West Sumatra, which would have come under his purview as the former West Sumatra police chief. This arrest is part of an ongoing investigation by the Jakarta police into a suspected drug ring with covert links to a number of police officers. The police chief said the Jakarta police uncovered a network of illicit drug traffickers as a result of a tip-off from the public. This drug trafficking revelation would have done little to assuage the president's apparent disappointment in the force after scores of high-ranking cops were told to appear before their commander-in-chief without their usual attributes. Police hats, official batons, mobile phones, and even personal assistants were banned from the meeting. So he was making sure that they knew that he was really irritated. Instead of heading to the presidential palace in the usual convoy of service cars, senior police officers departed together in buses from the police staff college in South Jakarta. Upon arrival, they were told to march into the palace compound in single file, armed with nothing but their notebooks. According to a spokesperson, it's unprecedented that the president summoned all police officials to the palace. Indonesian policing expert Jackie Baker from Murdoch University in Australia suggested on Twitter that this could be the start of a major purge of the police corps. However, the president has no comment on that. She said, "I think this suggests that there are warring factions within the police leadership vying for control. The stakes are high," with the police chief Listo noting the loss of public confidence in the police after a string of high-profile cases involving the top brass. According to coordinating political, legal, and security affairs minister Mahfud, he said, as a final point, the president underscored that the national police must continue their criminal investigation into other people who are heavily implicated and must take responsibility in the case. This is referring to the tragedy in Malang. The fact-finding team, of which he is the leader, concluded that the use of tear gas was the factor that led to the deaths. Police had previously played down the use of tear gas. So, are there going to be big shakeups in the police? Who knows? At this point, with the president upset and pulling this move that has not been done before, it looks like there's going to be some big changes. Have to wait and see. And I talked the other day about the new IndoVac vaccine developed in Indonesia. Well, after rolling out IndoVac, Jokowi pushes for self-sufficiency in vaccines. So, Pak Jokowi officially rolled out Indonesia's first developed COVID-19 vaccine, IndoVac, for adult primary shots, instructing his administration to seek ways to achieve self-sufficiency in vaccines. A group of adults received their shots on Thursday at state-owned pharmaceutical company Bio-Farma in Bandung. The company is expected to manufacture around 20 million doses in the initial phase of production. Pak Jokowi said, next it can produce 40 million, and if the market needs more, production can reach around 120 million. IndoVac is a recombinant subunit vaccine that was developed by Bio-Farma in cooperation with Texas-based Baylor College of Medicine beginning of June of last year. And it was approved by the BPOM, the Food and Drug Monitoring Agency in Indonesia, just last month. And the homegrown vaccine has been awarded halal certification, meaning it can be administered in line with the Islamic faith in Muslim majority Indonesia. The president said, "This is the result of hard work by our young generation who managed to develop a new vaccine." He instructed the Health Ministry and State-Owned Enterprises Ministry to continue to push and support biopharma in producing and developing more vaccines for various diseases and eventually exporting more vaccines to other countries. President Jokowi said it can generate bigger revenue for the country and we can become self-sufficient in vaccines. Currently, the government has been relying on China's Sinovac and the Western-made Moderna and Pfizer vaccines for all the shots that we've been receiving here. Now that Indonesia produces its own COVID-19 vaccine, the government is planning to stop importing vaccines from other countries and will start to rely on local production to meet our needs and for export. However, with COVID-19 inoculation demand dwindling, despite the government's various efforts to boost rollout, and in line with the end of the pandemic, it remains unclear whether health authorities could effectively distribute the new vaccine to the public. Epidemiologists have said that homegrown vaccines and booster shots remain crucial for Indonesia, even when the coronavirus becomes endemic. BPOM is expected soon to issue an emergency authorization for another homegrown vaccine called IndoVac, previously dubbed the Merah Putih vaccine, after the Indonesian flag's colors, right? The flag is called the Merah Putih. The vaccine had been developed since the early days of the pandemic by Erlangga University in East Java and will be manufactured by local firm Biotis Pharmaceuticals Indonesia. The drug regulator has also approved an mRNA vaccine developed in China by Wavax, making Indonesia the first country to do so. And as I've said before, there's not a lot of demand for shots anymore. People have pretty much decided that we are already in the endemic phase. But good news, Indonesia has its own vaccine and becomes self-sufficient when the next pandemic comes around will be a big help for the country. And what about tourism and G20? Occupancy rate of Bali hotels reaches 70% ahead of G20 summit. Indonesia Hotel and Restaurant Association, PHRI, talk about them all the time, recorded an increasing hotel rooms occupancy in Bali, especially ahead of the G20 summit that will take place November 15th and 16th, so a month away. It's starting to increase, according to the PHRI Secretary General, especially in the Nusa Dua area, but it will definitely increase more until D-Day. Currently, the hotel occupancy rate in Bali, according to this article, is around 70%. Pak Sandiaga Uno, Tourism and Creative Economy Minister, has previously said that his side has prepared 23 hotels in the areas of Jimbaran, Kuta, and Nusa Dua to welcome G20 summit delegations in Bali. The ministry is also involved in the management of hotels in the area, where they expect the occupancy rate to go from 80 to 100%. Pak Sandiaga said not only the increasing hotel occupancy and fully booked hotel rooms, but we also hope that those who wish to travel to Bali during G20 event will continue to come, but seek alternative accommodation outside of Nusa Dua, mentioning Kuta, Ubud, Sanur, Denpasar, Lovina, and East Bali. So are we going to get some extra tourists during G20? People who are not going to want to be down by the South? I would not want to be down by the South during that period. And we're going to conclude this with two bule behaving badly. The first one serious, the second one silly. Viral Caucasian in Bali rage after hitting residents. Police conduct investigations. I love the way this article starts. This is in the Indonesian press, right? Link is below. It's just getting weirder again, foreign citizens in Bali. Oh, everybody knows it's getting weirder. In a video that is now viral, a Caucasian man is seen running amok and trying to beat people, whereas previously the man hit a local resident. This incident occurred past Wednesday at around 10:30 in the morning in where else? Canggu. The video uploader explained initially the Caucasian man riding a red Lexi motorbike hit a local rider on a black NMAX motorbike driven by a man and a woman. The foreigner, the bule, crossed the fork of the road without looking left and right, and he smashed into this Indonesian couple on their bike. After the crack-up, the foreigner approached the man who was the victim, who was hit by him, but instead of apologizing, the bule beat and strangled the victim. And the video is online. There's a link to it here. Wow, this guy went ballistic. Being aware of what was going on, local residents got involved and pulled him off of the man who he was assaulting. And this was a big guy compared to the guy he was assaulting. However, it got worse. The bule actually beat the local residents as well, and it was suspected that he was drunk. So you see him in the video flailing away and yelling at people. The woman who was on the back of the bike that got hit, you can hear her crying very loudly, and people, bystanders, shouting at the foreigner. The North Kuta police went and handled the accident. According to the North Kuta police chief, he said, it started with a traffic accident. We have handled the traffic accident, and we have arrived at the initial crime scene. But he did not know at the time of this article which country the foreigner was from. He said for more details, he couldn't give any at the time. The foreigner is apparently a Ukrainian. And I haven't seen any updates, well, because I haven't been reading the news for the past 24 hours, as I mentioned earlier. So wacko foreigner running into an Indonesian couple and then assaulting them as well. Does not look good for us foreigners when this kind of stuff happens, because yes, we get lumped in as a group for this. And this next one is just silly, and it involves an American from Chicago, my hometown. Trivial, disagreeing about basketball team, German citizen allegedly persecution of American citizens. So there are two guys, one is a German guy, one is an American guy. They go to, I guess it's a bar, it's called The Vault, in Barawa, and they each have their Indonesian girlfriends with them, and they, I guess, are sitting down together and talking about basketball. And the discussion got around to the Chicago Bulls basketball team. And apparently the Germans said some things about the Bulls that the Chicagoan did not agree with. And so they began swearing at each other, and that's how it started. The defendant in the case, because this has gone to court, asked the victim, the Chicagoan, to apologize. However, the Chicagoan refused to apologize, and that made the defendant angry. So angered, he goes and he talks to Vault security, and he said he won't make a fuss or hit the victim, he just wants an apology. So after he talked to security, he went back to the victim, put him in a headlock, demanded an apology. Seeing the commotion, several people came to intervene, and the defendant released his arm around the victim's neck, who fell backwards, cracked his head on the floor, the concrete. And at that point, the German's girlfriend said, let's get out of here. And I guess the American decided to press charges because it said he suffered abrasions and open wounds caused by blunt force. So the defendant was in court testifying last week, and he'll be back in court this week, and this week's hearing will be included in the agenda for reading the demands by the public prosecutor. The public prosecutor said that Rocco, the German, has been charged with one single charge. That's according to Article 351, Paragraph 1 of the Criminal Code. That area of Bali, wow, a lot of weirdness down there. And it does, people say, look at the crazy foreigners coming in here. I did see a headline today that was talking about the increasing number of incidents in Bali by foreigners and how local people and officials are responding to that, but I'm not going to read it because, well, it's just too hard on my eyes. But it's interesting. You can look it up. It's in the travel section. Okay, that is it for today. If you're a vegetarian or you like tempeh, new cooking video is up, and some of it is out of focus because I couldn't see what I was doing while I was videoing, and which is why I'm just stopping making videos until the sight thing is taken care of. It's only when you start to lose your sight that you realize how important it is. And Leanne, thanks for visiting the other day. I had a great time. My kid said, how did you spend that much time talking? I said, it was a lot of fun. We have a lot in common. So thanks, I enjoyed it. So I hope that you have a good week and that you will come back when we're back online again with some more news and information from Bali and Indonesia and some more cooking. Thanks for viewing. Stay safe. Be kind to someone today. And I will see you when I see you.